All right. Thank you for live. Okay. Continuing this extremely long ass video from Stephanie Soo. This case is so intense. And I once again want to commend her for all the work that she has put into it with the board and everything, making it easier for us to even know who she's talking about and how they're related to the case. Although I'm sometimes confused, overall, anything that is told through her mouth is just more digestible. So yeah, I mean, I had to stop the video yesterday because 3 hours, 30 minutes, 24 minutes, no thank you. I don't know if I'm gonna finish the video today because that's still 2 hours of video, but I will. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know yet. Honestly, I really don't know. I don't want to say in advance because I don't want to make false promises. But I'm just gonna do as I always do, which is my makeup, while I react to the story of this woman who was framed for the murder of her husband by a bunch of cops. Let's get into it.
You said that you only remember seeing that person come in briefly and it looked like he was having a conversation with two girls briefly, correct? Yes. You were asked how long was the person in there roughly, and you said it was quick, less than a couple of minutes, and then you were asked what he looked like, and you said, I feel like they were a little bit taller and had dark hair. Side note, there are two ways this has been interpreted. This tall, dark-haired male could fit John O'Keefe's description, but other than that, there's no name, there's nothing. But Higgins knows what John O'Keefe looks like. Why would he say it like this? Because Higgins is a federal agent. Maybe he knows what happens when you lie to the feds about something really bad. Perhaps he's using this as a seed to plant an out for him, to say, well, I didn't really look fully, I was drunk, I wasn't paying attention. I did tell you, remember I told you that I might have seen someone come into the house. I clearly didn't think it was John because I was so drunk, I was out of it. But I told you I remembered someone coming in, so I'm not lying to you. Others think, no, he's covering his ass because Colin, every single person testifies that Colin leaves before Karen's car even shows up anywhere. Colin leaves before half the senior adults get here. He leaves right when like Brian Albert walks in through the door and he's the first person to get there. So there's no way Colin and John O'Keefe, Karen Reed overlap. But maybe Brian Higgins is like, I know that's not true and I can't lie to the feds. And so this is his way of saying, well, Colin was there. Colin was there later than everyone is saying he was there. Because technically, Colin and Brian Higgins should not have crossed paths. He should have left the house before Brian Higgins even got there.
Is that the only people who fits the description? Like, there's no other tall, black hair? Really?
I mean, those are the only two that fit the description in a way that would make sense. So these are what the netizens are theorizing.
Oh, okay.
Now, this could be him covering for himself to say, well, I didn't see John O'Keefe there, but I guess I saw him, I was just drunk. Or to not perjure himself on the stand and say that, oh, I didn't see Colin, he left before I got there.
So exactly how many people is in the house?
When everybody is at the waterfall.
When everyone's at the waterfall, okay.
You've got birthday Brian Albert Jr. I have these little house Post-its, okay? Because I was like,
I like it.
These are going to come in handy.
I love it.
Brian Albert Jr.
His friend, Julie.
His other friend, Sarah Levinson.
Okay.
These three are in the house.
That's it.
There were a few other girls, but they left. And they are now saying Colin was also there.
The whole time with Brian Albert Jr.?
Yes. He only came for like 40 minutes, they say. But he was there before.
Wait, so Colin Albert is friends with Brian Albert?
They're cousins.
Yeah, they're Alberts.
Yeah, they're cousins. Yeah, so they're cousins.
Interesting.
And then the first people to get back in one car is Brian Albert.
Nicole Albert.
Nicole Albert.
At like, what, 12 something?
Yes. And Caitlyn Albert, their daughter.
Right, okay.
So these three come back in one car from the waterfall bar. And then Colin leaves.
Why did he leave so early?
He says he has a curfew.
Right.
We're going to get into
Curfew?
that.
Wait, what?
There's text messages that are so unhinged. So then Colin leaves.
At what time? 12?
He says 12:10 a.m. exactly. Does he recall anything else from that night?
That is crazy.
No. But every single person recalls he left at 12:10.
Wow.
Very
So
specific.
then Brian Higgins walks in.
Okay.
Colin is left. Brian Higgins walks in. Jennifer McCabe walks in with her husband, Matthew McCabe. Yes. And obviously
Okay,
Chloe's
Chloe,
in the
right,
house.
right.
Now, these are all the people that are inside
That's
the house.
not a lot of people.
No.
How do you not remember? Okay, so there's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 adults, like 5 older, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 younger crowd. Like, there's barely anyone in the house.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I'm going to get there when
And
I get
they
there because
still
there
don't
are
recall
outside
anything.
people now. So these are all the people. When asked about if he said that to the feds about the dark-haired, tall guy, he doesn't remember. Brian Higgins doesn't remember a lot of things during his testimony. All he remembers about being in that house was he just stayed for a little bit because, well, he saw Birthday Brian flanked by 2 females. That's how he says it. He just keeps using this type of verbiage over and over again. And at one point, ATF Brian and Brian Albert leave the kitchen area and they go upstairs to look at Brian Albert's other son's photos. So Brian Albert is like, hey, my other son, who's not on this wall, is in the Marines. You want to see
Okay.
pictures of him in the Marines? So they go upstairs.
Okay.
Problem. ATF Brian previously testified that he had never been upstairs in the Albert household.
Did you go anywhere else within the home beyond what you've described as far as the kitchen and the living room?
No,
Did you go upstairs at any time?
no.
But they went upstairs to go look at the photos. There's 3 floors in the Albert residence. ATF Brian testified previously that he's never been to the very top floor, which means you just have the main floor and the basement.
That is
So if you go
right.
upstairs to look at photos, where are the photos?
Okay, so are we saying that they were downstairs in the basement?
Where a lot of people theorize John O'Keefe was killed. So they're downstairs in the basement and they went upstairs to go look at photos. It's just another thing that is very, very strange, right? It doesn't make any sense. ATF Brian also states that he leaves the Albert residence sometime around 12:20, 1 a.m. He says that he knew he was going to leave pretty early, even before coming, because he's not a big beer drinker and all they have are White Claws and beers. So he's like, I need my Jameson and ginger. He's like obsessed with that combination. He claims he's one of the very first people to leave and he just wants to go home. Except he doesn't go home. He goes straight to the Canton Police Department.
Yeah. In the
ATF
middle of the
Brian
night.
works out of the Canton Police Department. He has an office there because the chief of the Canton Police, Berkowitz, is his bestie. During a celebration party for Chief Berkowitz, ATF Brian got up with a glass of champagne to give a toast and allegedly said, if you want to hide a body, Kenny Berkowitz is your man. Brian Higgins says,
That relationship was through Chief Berkowitz, born through a tragedy. When my sister passed away, we became friends, and he offered up the space because I had also moved there, so it was close. It was a jumping off point.
Brian Higgins' sister passed away?
yeah. And then he was like, hey, since you're moving to Canton, do you just want an office inside of my police station? You want to know something else that's crazy? I keep wanting to save some crazy things, but these two seem close, right? Brian Higgins and Brian Albert seem close, right?
Besties, yeah.
But Brian Higgins, ATF Brian, and Chief Berkowitz are actually much closer.
Yeah,
and
clearly.
ATF Brian stated that Chief Berkowitz says even he is scared of Brian Albert. Brian Albert's a scary guy.
Well, how did we find out about that?
He said that to somebody else. Why does he go to the Canton Police Department right after 34 Fairview? He's
At
like,
1 a.m..
yeah, it doesn't make sense. He claims it's because he has a ton of cars parked in the parking lot. He's got work cars. He's got a police cruiser. He's got an undercover cop car. He's got his own personal cars in the parking lot. And if the snow plowers are coming through, they've got to move all their cars to the center of the parking garage because it just makes things easier.
In the middle
It's
of the night after a
courtesy
party
thing.
where somebody died?
Nevertheless, he goes in, he passes the dispatch room where Sergeant Good is working dispatch. And he will be the one that picks up Carrie Roberts' initial 911 call where she's like, hey, have you seen my friend at a hospital or anything? He says no. Then he picks up another 911 call from Jen who says, there's a guy in the snow. There's a man in the snow.
And then he later showed up too
Yes.
at the scene.
Yes.
It was all him.
Yes. these three will show up at the scene. These three are so suspicious because these three didn't even see where John's body was laying in the snow, but they're out here giving all their information to the accident reconstructionist when it's like, how can you give information if you didn't even know where he was in the snow?
Right.
These three are weird. ATF Brian says he just waves at Sergeant Good. That's it. He says hi to him, goes to his office upstairs, grabs his car keys, comes back down, moves the vehicles. There has been footage of him released of moving his cars around. And this man isn't just moving his cars around. He's just like full treasure hunting, opening the trunk, grabbing things. There's a lot going on for someone who just wants to go home and fall asleep ASAP.
Right?
And at one point, you can see him walking in the snow with his brightly lit phone up to his ear. It looks like he's on a phone call, but we don't know that for sure. He could be doing a voice memo. He could be listening to a voice memo. It just appears to be a phone call. But the problem is you cannot even ask him about it because this footage of him in the Canton Police Department was released during the second trial where ATF Brian is not called to testify. The government does not call him to testify. And the defense, I don't think they want to risk it.
Oh, it was like somebody else released it during the second trial, but they can't ask Brian for any more information
Why?
about it.
It's admitted into evidence, but they can't say, hey, Brian, who are you on the phone with?
What the
ATF
fuck?
Brian says,
It was a long day. We had traveled, the traffic, it just seemed like it dragged on forever. But I think I did what I typically do after being out, having a couple of drinks. I had something else to eat, and I believe I might have had another couple of drinks and either laid on the couch or laid on my bed. Typically, I would fall asleep if I was on the couch and wake up and go into the bedroom. I don't know what location I was in at that point.
regardless, he says he falls asleep and he doesn't wake up until his phone starts blowing up at 6:30 in the morning. Most of the calls are coming from two people. Chief Berkowitz and Brian Albert.
Why the fuck they're calling him for?
Yeah.
Exactly. ATF Brian chooses not to call Chief Berkowitz back, but he calls Brian Albert back.
Oh.
Chief Berkowitz is his bestie,
Yeah.
but he calls Brian Albert back.
Yeah.
And his reasoning for this is, well, Chief Berkowitz is an early riser, and typically when he's working that day, we had a friendship where we would just kind of check on each other in the mornings. We'd just call in the mornings. So I just
Okay.
kind of blew it off, like, you know, why are you calling me this early? But when I saw Brian Albert calling me, that kind of caused some concern. So he's like, it's not that I knew Brian Albert had something to tell me. It's that he just doesn't wake up early. We don't talk like that. Whereas I talk to Chief Berkowitz every single morning. So this is a casual phone call I was getting. This was alarming to me. That's why I picked his phone call over his. So, you know, he was out with me all day. We both had the same long day. I was concerned at that point. So he picks up the call. He talks to Brian Albert, and that's when he finds out that John O'Keefe was found laying on the lawn outside. ATF Brian says that in that moment he was very confused.
The math didn't make sense. John and the defendant never showed up. People were in shock.
He says it didn't make sense. So he gets dressed, rushes over to 34 Fairview, where a few of the McAlbert family members have gathered. ATF Brian says the energy was just distraught. He ends up staying for about an hour, and he doesn't really recall with 100% certainty what else he did, but he's off that day. He's off January 29th, 2022. He just found out that someone that he is friends with passed away.
Yeah.
What would you do on your off day? Would you go grieve? Would you go mourn? Would you
Yeah, grieve
spend
at
time with
home.
your family? Because you're like, I'm sad.
Or with friends.
He goes on his off day
To the office?
to Canton Police Station.
You weren't scheduled to work that Saturday, correct?
No.
Matter of fact, you weren't on duty at all.
No, I wasn't.
He doesn't recall how long he was there or what time he was there from, but he wasn't on duty that day. He's not working that day. He doesn't go home to grieve. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't run errands. He goes directly from 34 Fairview to Canton Police Department. ATF Brian says he just stopped by, but the defense argues that his key card shows access all the way from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Brian is like, well, that I could have left and come back.
Sir?
I could have left and periodically kept coming back all day.
You could have.
And then they're like, okay, but you were still there for a long time.
The whole of the
At that
day.
point, ATF Brian meets with some of the state troopers that have now just been assigned to the case. Trooper Proctor and Trooper Buchanan, both of whom he knows. ATF Brian testifies, so I was familiar with Trooper Buchanan. Evidently, I was reminded by Trooper Proctor that I had met with him before. I think I had helped him on a gun recovery that he made, but I didn't remember him. He says that he's not close with either of them.
I had seen Trooper Buchanan on a number of occasions at a local gym. I had seen him one time at the Hillside. I think he might have been with his child after a sporting event. I think I said hello, I bought him a drink.
ATF Brian says, I wouldn't classify that as socializing, more being friendly. And that's that. Nothing else of particular value has been noted by the Honorable Brian Higgins. Also, ATF Brian testifies that he knows the name of Colin Albert. He knows that he's one of Chris Albert's sons. However, if Colin Albert were to walk into the courtroom today, he would have not a single clue that that is Colin Albert. ATF Brian testifies that he does not know what Colin Albert looks like.
I know the name, and I know that he is one of the sons of Chris Albert.
Are you familiar with what he looks like?
If he walked in here right now, I wouldn't know.
And he just feels the need to throw that out there. A lot of people just don't like his testimony. Everything boils down to, if I did that, if I knew that, I would have done that. With one netizen writing, they kill me. These witnesses kill me when they act like they don't understand the questions. Then you have Brian Albert, the homeowner. Homeowner Brian. Brian Albert is sitting on the witness stand, dressed like a defendant, white collared shirt, tie, sweater jacket on top. We're making a comeback here. Brian Albert retained counsel, which is not a bad thing to do. It is crazy how attorneys will make people look bad for hiring attorneys. And I'm like, you are also an attorney. I don't understand. But it is odd in the sense that Brian Albert cannot tell you anything about this attorney. I'm not talking privileged conversations. I'm talking Brian Albert does not recall, does not remember the date, even the month, even the season, even the year in which he hired this attorney.
Why? Is he just trying to play like, I don't recall?
Yeah, but I think he's also trying to be like, if it's too early on, that looks suspicious.
Oh.
I see. Like even those information that's like so harmless, he's like, I'm just not gonna say anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall. Do you have amnesia? He also conveniently forgets that he talked to the prosecution even just a few hours ago. The direct examination of Brian Albert is exactly what you expect. He testifies that he comes to the house, he lets Chloe out from upstairs, goes outside to use the restroom, hangs out a little bit in the kitchen, Chloe does, and then Brian sends Chloe back upstairs to go to sleep in their master bedroom. And then he hangs out with everyone, everybody leaves, he goes upstairs, knocks out, falls asleep and does not wake up until his sister-in-law, Jen McCabe, bursts into the room. The cross-examination of Brian Albert just starts spicy. It sets the tone for the entire cross.
Damn, already an ad. Okay, girl. Oh, no, wait.
It's late. You're cozy in bed. You are scrolling through that saved shopping cart that you've been eyeing all week long. And you finally decide you're going to treat yourself until you realize that you go to checkout and your credit card is sitting in your wallet, which is on the kitchen counter, and it might as well be on the other side of the planet at this point. We have all been there. Your shopping cart is about to become another shopping casualty. Your finger hovers over that X button, ready to abandon everything. But then there it is. That beautiful purple Shopify button sitting right there at checkout, holding all of your payment details, shipping addresses, preferences in one simple click. That's Shopify hard at work. But Shopify isn't just about buying effortless. They're also revolutionizing how people start their own businesses. You guys know that we have been huge advocates for Shopify. They made our dream of opening up Grandpa Mingo's art studio reality. I know so many of you guys are creatives as well, and I'd love to show my support for your small business. Whether you are a complete beginner or have been dreaming about entrepreneurship for years, or honestly just putting out things that you love, their platform, Shopify, removes every barrier between you and your first sale. Get help with everyday tasks like enhancing product images, writing product descriptions, or generating discount codes with Shopify's AI tools created for commerce. From seamless purchasing to effortless selling, Shopify makes commerce work for everyone. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/rotten. Go to shopify.com/rotten. Shopify.com/rotten. You know that feeling? You're like walking through your house at night, you're turning off the last light, checking the final lock.
Your bag.
And in that quiet moment, you just want to know, okay, is my family actually completely safe? That's what Simply Safe Security gives you, real peace of mind. Most security systems, they only take action after someone breaks in, but Simply Safe's new Active Guard outdoor protection helps stop break-ins before they happen. Simply Safe's AI-powered cameras and live monitoring agents work together to protect you from break-ins and hazards, detecting any suspicious activity around your property. In less than 30 seconds, an agent can access and react based on the situation. Agents can speak, sound the siren, trigger the spotlights, and proactively deter crime before it even starts. We love Simply Safe because it helps us feel confident that our home is protected, which in our minds equals our dogs are protected. A lot of times my nieces are over. Visit simplysafe.com/rotten to claim 50% off a new system with a professional monitoring plan and get your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/rotten. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Alan Jackson starts off by asking Brian Albert how many times he's testified before. Because he's a cop. It's probably around 100 times. Cops testify in trials.
When was the last time you spoke to Mr. Lally before Friday when you began testifying?
Before Friday, the last time I spoke to Mr. Lally was, I believe, on a conference call around the time of my grand jury testimony.
Which would have been 2022?
Yes.
April of 2022.
Yes.
It's not uncommon for you to prep witnesses. This is a very normal thing. The government will call a witness and they will prep a witness.
Yeah.
They'll even do like mock cross-examinations of like, this is what the defense attorney is probably going to ask you. So let's see how you hold up.
So you've not spoken with Mr. Lally since that time?
I don't remember speaking with Mr. Lally since that time, no.
What about anybody else from the district attorney's office?
No.
But Brian also goes on to say that he did watch a video of everybody at the Waterfall bar to prep for this trial. That was back in April of 2022?
No, that was for the prep for this trial.
With whom did you prep with this trial for? Mr. Lally. I'm confused. I thought you had not spoken with Mr. Lally since April of 2022.
Except for the prep for this trial, I had
Sir, oh my
Okay,
God.
that was my question, Mr. Albert.
not. Okay, I misunderstood your question. I apologize.
No,
Did
you
you
did
prep
not.
for this trial with Mr. Lally?
Yes.
When?
Approximately a few weeks ago.
Mr. Albert, about 45 seconds ago, I asked you, have you spoken with Mr. Lally before your testimony
You
in this
said
proceeding?
no.
And your answer was, no, I have not. Did you not understand my question?
I did not.
That
What
is
was
fucking
confusing about it?
stupid.
That's crazy. Meanwhile, you're a cop standing here playing dumb. Oh, I didn't understand your question. What was your question again? Repeat
Like,
that. I didn't understand.
I didn't even know I had a prep. Out of anyone, you know what the system is like.
You know exactly what's going on.
I was expecting you to ask if I had prepped with Mr. Lally. I didn't hear prep with Mr. Lally, so I didn't know what you were
stop.
referring to.
So when I said spoke with Mr. Lally, since I didn't say prep with Mr. Lally, your answer was no, I didn't speak with him. I just prepped with
But
him.
you did.
Yes.
Because to prep, you have to speak. So you did speak. Stupid. It is so fucking stupid. I feel like everybody should be freaking jailed just for perjury alone. The amount of dumb lies that they get caught in is insane. Like, what's the difference between speaking and prepping with someone? Either way, you speak. That's so stupid.
What's the difference between speaking and prepping?
No, there is no difference. I just misunderstood your question. That's
Oh,
all.
shut up.
A lot of netizens feel like this already broke credibility for Brian Albert because he's being so evasive and fishy with his words. A lot of netizens believe, what is happening? Like, what is the literal point in lying about this when this is so common? But one comment reads, what if it was a very silent prep? Like they never spoke. Obviously being sarcastic. And everyone in this family and circle of friends is just evasive for no reason. Later, the defense starts asking Brian Albert about how close he was with Karen, how well he knows her. He says he's never met her. Well, maybe he met her once in a bar. Then he makes it appear like they don't even really know each other aside from their first names, except just a week before John O'Keefe's death, there's a photo of Chris Albert, Brian Albert, John O'Keefe, and a guy named Tim Daly in a bar together. And the person that took that photo is Karen Reed. Attorney Jackson is asking Brian Albert, Karen Reed took the photo. You're literally staring at her, correct? I don't know who took the photo. Who do you think took the photo, sir? I have no idea who took the photo. Could it have been Karen Reed? Objection sustained. Netizens are having split reactions to this part of the testimony. Some believe defense is grasping at straws. Others are joking. Is the defense also going to point out that Brian's hand seems to be clenched into a fist in that picture? Others think it's frustrating how much amnesia this entire town has. And suddenly they think it casts a lot of reasonable doubt in the case. People say they just don't like Brian's energy. They say it's kind of a pure talent that he has to be able to give such infuriatingly vague answers to every single question. Some people are commenting, what's up with amnesia in this town? Is there something in the water? Others,
I think their evasiveness is only make them look more sus.
Yes.
If you don't
Exactly.
remember to just try your best to, I think whenever Karen Reed gets brought up, they try to distance so hard that it made it seem more shady.
just makes
Just
them
say, oh,
more
I met her. I
suspect.
met her twice, 3 times, 4 times. Instead of like, I don't recall. Maybe. I don't know her. I don't know.
And they have to be evasive about everything.
Yeah.
And it's very weird for the jurors because these people, they seem to hate the defense, but the jurors don't. You're just being combative for no reason.
I wonder if this strategy would have worked in like a traditional case that's not this high profile.
I think so.
You can get away with these things. You're like, well, that could be the case.
Some people say, well, yeah, he's being evasive because every single question coming from the defense sounds accusatory. Of course, everyone's on edge. Some people are saying the defense team, they're so hostile. Maybe it's because, just like Brian Higgins, Brian Albert does something that pisses off the defense. He throws away his phone. He gets rid of his phone as well. Both the Bryans have now gotten rid of their phones.
Okay,
and they're cops.
What exactly happened? Like the day after? What's going on?
No, not even the...
But then also like throwing away the phone is kind of dumb because there's a record of everything, right?
So
There is
yes, there's gonna have like a record from the fucking phone company, but anything else, whether it's videos, photos, even when you think that you erased everything on your phone, there's still like the police still have ways to get back anything that you think you deleted from your phone. Physically if as long as you still have the phone, physically speaking, the police or the FBI or whatever can still recover any data that you thought was gone. So just absolutely getting rid of the phone altogether in a military motherfucking site of all cases, you know that no matter what, not only nobody's getting back that phone physically, but you can't get anything that may or may not have been stored on the phone that the phone company won't have access to. Unless they have a cloud, which, I mean, not everybody does. Especially since that Apple leak years ago. A lot of people are very wary of clouds now. So, that's stupid and smart at the same time.
cell record, but you don't have text message records. When you pull a lot of data, text messages are hard to pull from the service provider. You'll see who you're texting, but you won't get the exact messages. And the cell data will show incoming or outgoing call, right? And they'll give you duration.
Yes.
But it will not indicate if that duration went to voicemail, if that duration was on the phone.
Okay, so Michael Proctor, the no nudes Michael Proctor.
Yes.
They pull his phone.
Yes.
They took his phone.
The feds.
But Brian Higgins and Brian Albert tossed the phone.
And the timing of this is going to be crazy. Attorney Jackson asks Brian Albert, sir, you had an iPhone with the number ending in 0888 back in January 2022, did you not? Yes. Mr. Albert, you were notified by the Commonwealth that on September 23rd, 2022, a judge specifically ordered that you were to preserve that phone?
I don't remember receiving that document, no. Subsequent to me upgrading my phone, I spoke with the DA's office. So after that, they told me via a phone call that that was the case.
So your testimony is that you never received a notice that I just read, but you did talk to the DA and he told you, Lally told you, that you were on notice that you were to preserve your phone. Was that the conversation, sir?
So I don't have the exact date of the conversation. I'm not sure.
Who did you talk to on the phone exactly? Was it Mr. Lally alone? Was it a conference call? It was a conference call. Brian says he believes other witnesses involved in this case were on the conference call being told the same thing. Can you name some of those witnesses for us?
I believe it was Brian Higgins. I believe Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, and maybe somebody else, but I can't recall.
Did you
Can't recall
volunteer
voting.
that, oh my goodness, I just upgraded my phone last week. I don't have that phone anymore.
No,
You didn't say that to Mr. Lally?
no,
You just took the information that he gave you and hung up the phone, and what about your business?
yes,
Without notifying him that the very phone that he had just ordered you to preserve had just been destroyed days earlier.
Destroyed?
Destroyed.
Destroyed.
Well, that's what the
do we
defense
know?
is saying. Brian is saying,
no, the phone wasn't destroyed. I upgraded the phone.
The data was destroyed, sir, correct?
I did not destroy any data on any phone.
Where's the phone?
he doesn't have it.
Exactly.
We don't know where
Yeah.
it went. So the Brian Higgins, you're saying he tossed it into a military.
Yes.
Okay, are you gonna explain more on that or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, Mr. Albert, I upgraded my phone. When you upgrade your phone, you know that the phone is set back to factory reset before your new phone is handed to you, correct? Happens every time.
I don't know that.
How many times have you upgraded your phone? Multiple times? Every single time you upgraded, you know that the phone prior, the data is destroyed on it, correct? So it seems like he's trading the phone in.
You know that data is destroyed when you upgrade your phone, right?
I think some things are come over across contacts, things like that. So I don't know that for sure.
That's a backup. No, I don't think that's a backup, but okay. Irrespective, you didn't tell Mr. Lally that you had gotten rid of the phone. I was not asked that, so I didn't tell him that.
I see. You felt like if you weren't asked that, you didn't need to volunteer it, even though the conference call was specifically about preserving your phone pursuant to a judge's order. Correct?
What was the question?
You didn't offer to Mr. Lally that you had gotten rid of the very phone that he was telling you had to be preserved due to the judge's order.
I did not.
When did you upgrade your phone? I upgraded my phone in September, third week of September, maybe around the 22nd. I can't be sure of the exact date.
Wait, but when you upgrade, if they transfer the phone,
Yes.
the text message gets transferred too.
Yes, but he did not do that.
Oh, he just restarted a new phone.
Yeah.
That is freaking weird.
Brand new phone.
So according to you, you got...
Wait, that is so weird. That's beyond
Nobody
weird.
does that.
Hello? Am I the only one? That's crazy.
No, it's weird.
That is so crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay.
So, according to you, you got rid of the phone that was the subject of a court order preservation the day before it was ordered preserved.
So the court order came out 23rd. He got rid of his phone September 22nd.
Yeah, the timing.
The timing. Did
The
someone warn him?
timing.
Did he get a heads up?
Wow.
Rephrase the question, please.
Rephrase the question, please?
He's saying that. Usually the judge says that, okay? The day before this all happened, you upgraded your phone and got rid of it in total, correct? I upgraded my phone around the 22nd, yes. You are aware that the very data that you were ordered to preserve would have been destroyed according to you the day before the court order, correct?
Rephrase your question or ask me a question.
Sir?
Are you claiming that you got rid of your phone on the 22nd?
I upgraded my phone around that. I'm not sure if that's the exact date, but yes.
So it could have been after the 22nd.
I don't think it was after the 22nd.
Could have been the 24th?
No.
Could have been the 25th?
No.
So you're absolutely sure that you could not have upgraded your phone and gotten rid of it anytime after the 23rd when this judge ordered that it be preserved?
No.
Because you know that if you got rid of that phone after you had been notified that you were ordered by a court to preserve it, you'd be committing a felony.
That is the face
Objection,
of a
Your Honor.
liar.
Sustained.
Objection sustained. Yeah, I'm getting riled up because of these. Auntie Bev is going to come in episode 4. There's a lot of words people are saying about Auntie Bev. So now you claim that you got rid of your phone September 22nd, 2022, hours before you were ordered to preserve it. That's your testimony? Yes.
Is that just a coincidence?
September 4th was my birthday. The phone was broken and failing. I had planned on getting a new phone, and that just happened to be the day that I got it.
Happy birthday. Was that a coincidence?
That's what you're saying today to these jurors? Just a coincidence? Yes.
No
Did
wonder
you
these trial
and Brian
fucking ended up
Higgins
in
agree with each
mistrial.
other to both get rid of your phones? No. Jackson brings up the fact that in previous testimony, Brian says he recalls having conversation about the phones with ATF Brian, but he doesn't really recall much more. Now, he's being asked that. Like, didn't you have conversations with ATF Brian about getting rid of your phones? And he says, I don't recall what time.
Mr. Albert, I don't care when it was. I'm asking you, have you ever had a conversation with Brian Higgins about your phones, respectively?
We may have. I can't remember that conversation specifically.
Who did he tell that to? FBI?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brian Albert gets rid of his phone. No clue where it is. Brian Higgins gets rid of his phone, literally drives it to a military base to dump it. But then how do we have all these text messages between Brian Higgins, Karen Reed, Brian Higgins, and John O'Keefe? Well, Karen Reed's phone was taken. John O'Keefe's phone was taken. So is it just from their phones? No. Brian Higgins gives over those text messages. He uses a federal device to extract message threads. So a lot of feds, they have these machines where when the feds go through your phone, this is a huge thing. Not just the feds, any law enforcement officer, when they go through your phone, they don't actually go through your physical phone. They hook it up to a computer or a machine, and it's a mirrored image of your phone.
Okay.
This guy was going through Karen's phone physically looking for nudes. So that's like already bad. But
Wait, what do you mean upload your phone to a cloud and then they can access everything?
It's not like uploaded to a cloud. It's just connected to a device. I think
Just
it's so that
copy
everything is
record it?
tracked. Yeah. Like you don't just like scroll through someone's phone like that.
Interesting. Okay.
So he's just going through Karen's phone like that, which is already bad. And he's looking for nudes.
You're saying he was going through Karen's phone without this official government monitor.
Yes.
He's just like browsing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a
Now,
pervert.
Brian Higgins goes to one of these machines and you can extract certain data. And this is very important, especially with suspects who have attorneys, because there's like different panels as well. Sometimes if there's a lot of, and this was a problem with the Sean Combs case, and it's very technical. Let's say I have a phone where I have tons of communication with my attorney on there about this specific case.
Yeah.
It gets turned over to the police. They immediately see tons of privileged information between myself and my counsel. Typically, they would send this phone to a third-party attorney who will take out all of the privileged information, give that back to me and my counsel, and then give the non-privileged information to the law enforcement agencies.
But you're saying that's like the police have to follow this code of law and be ethical and not browsing, looking for nudes and looking for...
Yeah, I mean, it's typically easier in the sense of like, it's easy to prove that you have lots of privileged communications. And then you would bring it up with the judge and it would become a whole ordeal, right? But I mean, they just be doing
Still,
whatever.
yeah.
Now, Brian Higgins goes to one of these machines and you can extract certain data. So like, that's the whole point. You can take certain data with its metadata. So you can take certain text threads with all the metadata. And that's it. You're not doing a copy of the entire phone. You're just selecting this specific text message thread between person A and person B. So Brian Higgins goes to this machine, gets 2 text message threads, one with Karen Reed and one with John O'Keefe, and he submits them himself to Buchanan, the state trooper.
This is before his phone was destroyed or after?
And then immediately after, he destroys his phone.
What's his
wow, that's-
explanation?
Because if he doesn't give these text messages, they're going to want his phone.
Right.
They're going to say, you're weird, you're sus, we need to go through your phone. So he's trying to get ahead of it, is what a lot of people believe.
I'm about to stream
I'm
video
not in
games.
Brian Higgins' mind, thankfully. I think I would not like it there. But he says, I thought it was important because I've had communications with both of them and I wanted to be fully transparent. He says he was never asked for these. He voluntarily gave them over to the state troopers. But here's what's interesting. Trooper Buchanan is on the stand and his whole testimony is in the next one. He says, I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get to both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone. So to protect Brian Higgins' integrity as a law enforcement official, I told him that the information he was providing to us better be true and accurate, or else he would suffer the consequences, aka giving him a chance to rectify anything he didn't turn over. Basically, he's saying, hey, we're going to go through the text messages soon. They got to match up to what we have in their phones. Okay?
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Because I want to protect, what did he say? Protect the
His integrity as a law enforcement official. ATF Brian is asked during the cross-examination, you would agree that searching electronic devices and phones is an incredibly important investigative tool that modern investigators use, correct?
I've utilized phone data during the course of my investigations at times, yes.
You've probably even written search warrants for them, right? Things of that nature, right? Yes. So how do you get rid of information on your cell phone?
You could wipe your phone. Factory reset.
So that might be one avenue. You could break the SIM card in half or snap it.
It could, yes.
That's exactly what he does. He breaks it in half and gets rid of it. He says, it was beaten, it was broken up already. I already had a new phone and the only explanation is I threw it away. That's it. Later he says, I had a target of an investigation I was working with. He's like, this is the reason I changed my phone, okay? I was doing this undercover investigation. The target of that investigation said he knew my personal cell phone number. And I was like, how did you know? He said he obtained it through open source internet. So I went online and lo and behold, my phone number is out there. So I had to get a new phone number. And he's like, quit lying with me, quit playing with me because you waited 3 months afterwards to change your phone number from the time that that target of your investigation told you that your phone number is open source.
So where's your phone?
I do not have that phone anymore.
You've destroyed that phone, haven't you?
No, I threw the phone away.
Well, that's
In a military
destroying the phone,
site?
isn't it?
I had every right to do that.
No.
I didn't ask you about your rights. I asked you what you did.
Objection.
Sustained.
You destroyed the phone by removing the SIM card, correct? Did you do that? Did you pull the SIM card out? To the best of my recollection, if I did take the SIM card out, I would have thrown it away. If I was going to take it out, I would break it or cut it. But I did not wipe the phone. I did not take anything else off of it, but I was just going to throw the phone away. That's what I would have done. You were aware that there was a court order that was to not alter, delete, or destroy in any way manipulate your phone or any electronic data associated with it, correct? September 30th, 2022 for you? And you were served a notice on September 30th, 2022? That's correct. Isn't it true that in another hearing, you explained that on September 29th, the day before you claim you got that notice, you changed phone carriers? Also,
Both of them the day before? One upgraded the phone, the other one changed his whole carrier.
Mm-hmm.
But like, how did they find out about this? So the timing is suspicious. Which
course the
means
timing is suspicious.
potentially they have some sort of connection with the inside. And it makes me feel like if the
Yes,
FBI
it's it.
wasn't involved
Well,
in this case,
Later.
I don't know if, they will win this case because, the Campton, Boston, Massachusetts, the judge, DA, everyone's like the same team.
Allegedly. I also think him getting on this case because regardless of what you think of Alan Jackson and his previous current clients, he is a big name. I think that did bring a lot more attention as well. And I think it brought a lot of pressure because he's not just someone that's going to walk in and be like, oh, everything's weird. Let me just clock in, clock out. I mean, not that David Yannetti or any of the other defense teams were, but he's pretty nationally known. It is weird that Higgins just turns in these text messages and the state troopers don't look further into ATF Brian. In any other case, any other situation, a very strong motive that cops love going after is the jealousy motive. But Trooper Buchanan, one of the state investigators, he's asked during his trial, he explains the messages as,
no, these were, friendly communications. I don't want to put a label on it. They were communication between acquaintances or people that know each other.
He's asked if the texts were flirtatious, to which he says,
as far as flirtatious, I would have to take a look at the content of it
Yes,
for
they
certain
were.
terms that would support that label.
and the defense is like, okay, sure, here you go. They give him a pile of text messages between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Now he's reading through it, and many netizens argue Buchanan is stupid. He's also incredibly committed to his role in all of this because after reading these text messages with a straight face, he is asked,
Would you consider those text messages as you reviewed them when you received them from Brian Higgins as being flirtatious or romantic in nature?
I would not categorize them to that extent. Certain parts of it might be, but the total conversation, if you want my opinion, I can provide you with it.
he's asked to point out which parts.
There
Why
are
is he
terms
talking like
that
a
are
virgin?
used. You're hot, witty, stuff like that. You know, talking about banging and hooking up.
What word would you use to describe them if not flirtatious?
My opinion is that it's a angry girlfriend trying to set up a hookup.
What does that even mean?
Oh my God.
As a reasonable objective investigator, is there a possible scenario for Brian Higgins to be jealous about John O'Keefe? There is a possibility there, but I didn't see it based off the totality of the evidence.
Okay.
The length these people will go to cover each other
Yeah.
when the whole nation is looking at them like, why are you doing this? You look so dumb right now.
Yeah, his nickname on the internet is Officer Bukkake. And it's gonna become a thing because one of these witnesses goes on the stand. It's in the next episode. And she's like, I forget his name. I think Officer Bukkake. This is not real. None of this is real, but it's very
This
real
is
and it makes me very
actually
depressed.
stupidly
There is a
funny.
clip from the Waterfall Bar that the defense wants everybody to watch, and it is of Brian Albert and ATF Brian pretending to throw punches at each other. They're like play fighting. I don't know why they're doing this. They're acting like high school football players. Some say they're acting like they're play fighting. Others saying they look like they're practicing fighting. These are the men that fight invisible ops. They're just like boxing the air at all hours of the day. Brian Albert seems like the mentor. There is CCTV footage where they're squatting, they're doing like punching stances, they're like air punching. At one point, Brian Albert
got you,
throws
Esther.
ATF Brian in a bear hug. I mean, without context, it just looks like they're dry humping. But then ATF Brian, pretends to push a knee into his stomach. It's just a lot. Brian Albert testifies, we were just fooling around. We were just pushing each other around, fooling around. Oh, so like play fighting?
I don't think I would call it play fighting. No, I was just
Practicing fighting techniques?
I wouldn't call it that.
If it's not fighting techniques, how would you describe it?
Just joking, being silly, just fooling around.
Nicole, Brian's husband, also saw this. And she says, I saw them fooling around with each other.
I want to know what kind of setup you're going to be like, okay, let's fool around real quick. Let me show you how to take a jab. What's the setup?
The defense says the setup is, hey, John O'Keefe's coming. What are you going to do to him?
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Because anything else doesn't make sense, right?
Tell me, Brian, like what made you guys decide to do this fooling around?
If not that, then what, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do they have an habit of fooling around? Because if there's multiple CCTV video of them fooling around, then you can just see that it's a fucking pattern. But if there's no other time when they were seen fooling around, and the only time they are seen fooling around is before a man got beat up to death, that's suspicious. That's weird.
Miss Albert, when your husband drinks, does he often get into sort of these practice sparring, practice fighting stances? Is that common for him?
No, I don't think so.
So this type of behavior was unusual for him?
No, I think they were just fooling around. I don't think there was anything much to it.
She's just like, damn it, I should have said that's very common. He does it every day.
Literally. To me as well, to everybody.
Yeah.
My question was, is it unusual for you to see him sort of practice fighting?
I wouldn't call that practice fighting. I think they were just fooling around. And yeah, maybe I've seen him do that other times, but it was fooling around. They weren't practicing.
Bro.
Defense tries to point out, one,
everybody was
Brian
prepped
Albert
terribly.
is older now, but he is a highly trained fighter. That's how they phrase it. Nicole Albert highly disagrees. But aside from being a Boston police officer, he's trained in the Marine Corps previously, and he's a trained boxer. But Brian Albert says that this is just joking around. It's just him fooling around. But Brian Albert also states, when he's asked about Brian Higgins, he's like, hey, is ATF Brian your friend? He's like, define friends. He's like,
define friends.
We just kind of know each other from work. I don't know if I would call it friends. The defense is like, you've known this man for 15 years. You just took a 4-hour-long road trip with him. He came over to your house. You're fooling around in a bar, and you would not categorize yourself as friends?
Bruh.
To which he finally is like, we are friends. We are friends. Yeah, we're friends.
Yo, this is crazy. They interview people every day. Now tables flip.
Like,
all of a sudden.
So bad.
So bad.
Terrible.
I saw one netizen put it way better than I can explain it. It's extra insulting because they're evil and they're dumb and they're getting away with it. So it's like just spitting in the public's face over and over again. Just because
but it's also,
you're law enforcement.
You, like,
he says,
how the way they're so bad at it, how have they been able to do their job this whole time if they're this stupid? Like, I know that you don't need to go to school for a long time to become a fucking police officer. But that is abysmal. And fuck, I'm French, and I understood every single question that were asked pretty fucking well. And they're like, oh, can you rephrase? I didn't understand the question. Oh, I'm not sure. Wait, oh, you said that? Oh, okay. This is crazy. I would never trust any of these people to solve any cases. And even if they did, I would question the result of their investigation because they're way too stupid. I'd be like, nah, I think I'm gonna need a second fucking review, a review or a second opinion because I've seen what you guys can do and it's not up to my standards. I'm not impressed. And these are the people who get paid with people's taxes? Ciao.
yeah, we're good friends. We were just fooling around. You just said you weren't friends. Define friends, right? Meanwhile, ATF Brian does not get the memo because he describes Brian Albert as...
He's a good friend. He's a co-worker. I had been working closely with his unit. I'd say he was a good friend.
Netizens comment, it's like pulling teeth to get regular answers from these people. Nevertheless, the defense states whether or not they were play fighting has importance, And they're like, Brian, you're a fighter, aren't you? He's like, nah. A side note, there are rumors online that Brian Albert had gotten into a fight with another cop at a Christmas party before. It seems like he has a propensity for fighting, as well as this one.
Colin
Shocking.
Albert.
ATF Brian had allegedly told the feds again that Chief Berkowitz is also scared of Brian Albert, so maybe he is a fighter. But he really tries to downplay this during the trial to the point where Attorney Jackson tries to break it down.
What was your job title in January 2022?
Sergeant Detective.
That means you not only respond to incidents, you actually conduct investigations as a detective, correct?
Yes, primarily fugitive investigations.
You have additional training in order to hold the title and hold the position as a detective, is that right?
Yes.
Not just regular patrol officer, you have to have special training to get the rank of detective, is that right?
Yes.
As a sergeant detective, that's above a regular detective indeed, because you're supervising detectives, is that right?
Yes.
You're also trained in techniques, obviously any detective would be trained in techniques that culprits might use or suspects might use to cover up crimes to thwart investigations, correct?
No.
So in all your training, 30 years of a Boston police officer and a sergeant detective, you don't have any training in, I don't know, what techniques criminals might use to cover up their conduct?
No. I've never gone to a training for criminals to cover up conduct, no.
He also downplays all of his physical training. He acts like he's just a patrol officer. Not that anything's wrong with the patrol officer, but he's just like,
Wasn't he in
I'm
the
not that
Marine?
fit. I'm not that strong. I'm not a big guy. I'm weak. I'm dainty and frail. In the reality show Boston's Finest in episode 3, there's a whole thirst trap level boxing segment of Brian Albert just going at it at the boxing gym. And it's a voiceover of him saying, you have to have undercover police officers actually going out, posing as buyers and making drug buys. It's dangerous work. Anything can happen. And he's like double fisting a small punching bag. He clearly knows what he's doing. And again, netizens think, why does he have to be so evasive? You would imagine that a lot of these law enforcement officers are somewhat physically trained.
Otherwise,
One
what the fuck
comment
are they
reads,
doing?
if you look very closely, their noses are growing. Others say, come on, this is so bad. He can't even remember what he talked about an hour ago. Some say Brian Albert is like a slippery snake. Others say Karen Reed should get the max penalty for putting these people through all of this. This is awful.
Maybe he knows that being suspicious will not be charged.
Yeah.
But if he says anything, then he's cooked.
Yeah. And I do think that it's extra
obviously.
cautious because the feds. And in the reality show, Brian Albert even says, it's very rewarding when someone commits a crime or they hurt somebody and you're the person that actually catches them. It's probably one of the best things you can do. At the end of the show, Boston's Finest, they end with a voiceover and it says, the decision to become a police officer is never an easy one. But for these men and women of the Boston Police Department, in the end, it was the only decision they could make. Some joined the force to protect the streets where they grew up, some to say thanks to the new city that welcomed them in. Every day, they take to the streets without fail, carrying with them the love they have for their families, the memories of the friends they've lost, all their hopes, all their fears. They do it. They do it for the city of Boston.
That was Brian talking?
No.
Oh.
Narrator. But September 4th, 2023, before the first trial for Karen Reed, Brian Albert is no longer doing that because he retires from Boston Police Department.
Oh.
Okay.
Nicole Albert, Brian's wife, fellow homeowner of 34 Fairview Road, testifies. This is Jen McCabe's sister. She's also a part-time lunch lady. That's how she calls it. During direct, she says, you know, John came into the waterfall. She doesn't really know John O'Keefe. She says,
I didn't know him that well. I think I had only met him once, maybe twice through my sister. Brief interaction. I think when he first walked in, actually, I didn't recognize him. I think I said to someone, oh, who's that? Because they were kind of walking towards our table. And they said, oh, you know, it's John O'Keefe. I said, oh, you know, I had never met Karen and I'd only met John once or twice.
it's interesting because your husband is on the same police department as John O'Keefe. But she says,
No, I don't believe he ever worked with my husband. I don't believe they ever crossed paths at work.
and to be fair, Boston Police Department is about 3,000 officers.
Wow.
So it does seem feasible if they don't cross paths often. Now, Nicole says she doesn't have a single interaction with Karen. She says,
I had none. I don't believe we spoke or we were introduced or anything. I don't think we spoke at all.
in fact, Nicole states in her testimony she didn't even know that John and Karen were coming over. The rest of the evening, they go home. It's relatively normal. Nicole says that she just started cleaning the kitchen when she got home. And everybody left. She stayed cleaning the kitchen a little more while her husband, Brian Albert, went upstairs to watch TV in bed. And Elizabeth Little is asking her, Miss Albert, what is the first thing you remember waking up to in the morning of January 29th?
My sister bombing into my bedroom.
Did you hear any fire trucks that morning?
I did not.
Did you hear any ambulances?
I did not.
You didn't see the flashing lights of emergency vehicles outside your bedroom window?
I did not. My blinds were shut. My curtains were closed. I did not see anything.
Nicole and Brian Albert will both report that Jen burst into their room hysterical. And it's kind of interesting because if you watch the dash cam footage, if you listen to the 911 call or the testimonies of anyone at the scene that morning, nobody describes Jen as being hysterical except these two.
Yeah, she was so calm. She was like, I know.
Yes.
Even the 911 call, she was calm.
The only person that was not calm was Karen Reed.
Yes.
Yes, I need someone to come to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. I think he's dead. We need, you got to get here ASAP, okay?
I'm going to transcend line. I'm going to transfer to Canton.
Okay. I know, honey. I know. Okay, thank you.
So they're like, she was hysterical, bursting in through the door. Now, that's weird because they both testify that Chloe slept in the room with them that night.
Uh-huh.
If I were Jen, I know my sister has a dog.
Right.
A 70-pound German Shepherd that doesn't like strangers, maybe perhaps is startled easily. I'm not bursting into your room. Also, if my brother-in-law is a cop, I'm not bursting into your room.
Right.
To wake you up from a sleep. And by this point that Jen is bursting into their room, John O'Keefe has already been taken into the ambulance. So it doesn't make sense. The only time that would make sense that for her to be bursting into their room is nobody's there. They need to save John. He's a first responder.
Yeah.
It's weird. Caitlyn Albert, the eldest Albert daughter. Caitlyn works for the Massachusetts Attorney General's office in the Medicaid fraud division. She is the eldest child of the main Alberts. And she testifies that morning on the 28th, she meets up with her mom, Nicole Albert, and her aunt, Julie Albert. And they go to the waterfall together. So Julie, Nicole, and Caitlyn. And Caitlyn shows up with her fiance, Tristan.
Ah, I see.
Who does not want to be there.
Okay.
There's a blizzard coming in. He had gotten offered to do some snow plowing.
So we were waiting for the snow. I just had to be on call for 3 to 4 in the morning, just have my phone on standby and be ready to go. Just how it always is.
Like his job, his side gig?
It's like a side gig.
Okay.
So that's why he ends up leaving the bar early. He's like, bye, Caitlyn, love you, I'm leaving. Right. He leaves the bar, and Caitlyn says she remembers at the waterfall, she asked her mom, who's John O'Keefe? Caitlyn says that she does not know who John O'Keefe is, but a man walks into the bar with who now she knows is Karen Reed, and he seemed very friendly with their group of family and friends. Her mom tells her, oh, that's John. Which, Nicole just said that someone told her that's John, so I don't know if they're playing telephone or what, but her mom tells her it's John, and Caitlyn instantly knows it's him because everybody in Canton knows about his niece and nephew being raised by him after his sister passed. But she doesn't really talk to John or Karen at all. Nothing eventful happens at the bar. Caitlyn goes home with her parents, and the same things are repeated about the birthday party. Everyone's in the kitchen. Everyone can see everyone just hanging out, good times. Everybody leaves one by one. Caitlyn doesn't hear anything strange. She doesn't see anything strange. Everyone leaves, and eventually Caitlyn is the last to go. So by the end of the night, inside the house are just Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Brian Albert Jr., and Chloe the dog. And John O'Keefe outside. But Caitlyn leaves.
What time?
Around 2.
Oh?
Her boyfriend Tristan comes to pick her up, which netizens think that's so weird because Tristan just left the waterfall because he has to wake up overnight to go plow the roads. But then he leaves the waterfall, leaves Caitlyn there, and then Caitlyn goes back home to 34 Fairview for like an hour and a half and then gets picked up. It's kind of...
And they're... Again, they didn't see anything. Nobody saw John O'Keefe outside.
No.
And at this point, it's not even really snowing, correct? Or
no.
Barely?
Barely snowing. Well, it's snowing, but the snow is just starting to accumulate. Like, you can still see grass, is what a lot of them testify. It's not like whiteout conditions until the next morning.
Right. And how do all of them explain that?
They just weren't looking. They weren't looking, they couldn't see it, it's dark outside, but they see lots of other things outside, such as tire tracks in the snow from Karen's car allegedly speeding up to hit John O'Keefe.
Right.
Now, the defense starts into something else, though, when they start questioning Caitlyn Albert. She's close friends with firefighter, paramedic, Katie McLaughlin. During the cross-examination, she's asked, who is Katie McLaughlin? And she responds,
Katie McLaughlin is a girl who I'm the same age as. We went to high school together. We graduated the same year, and we have a couple mutual friends. We interact with some of the same people socially.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time, possibly ever, where her and I ever hung out one-on-one or individually.
We saw the photos of you
so
two chilling.
More of like
multiple times.
A friend of a mutual friend.
there is a lot of just explanation here, just non-stop. I mean, the defense is bringing up photos and she just has to keep repeating, this is like a mutual friend of a friend of a friend. And like, I barely know this girl. And then there's like pictures of them in small group settings at her dorm when she was in college. And then she's just like, I mean, just like a mutual friend, like a friend of a friend. And then even in these group photos, I would understand if it's one thing, if they're on the other side of this massive group photo every single time. But a lot of the times they're right next to each other. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it looks a little bit strange. And she keeps over-explaining that they just have mutual friends, which is fine if that's the only connection that she has. But Caitlyn Albert is also pretty close with Michael Proctor's wife. She's not on here. She's going to be on here in the next one. Elizabeth Proctor.
Okay, what's their relationship?
Just friendly, friends. She says that when Michael Proctor starts interviewing her about this case, she doesn't tell him, hey, I'm friends with your wife or anything. Just nothing. It's the least of her concerns. Like, she doesn't care, right? And she really doesn't, because the defense have other things that they're harping on her about. Another strange thing is that Caitlyn's mom, Nicole, testified previously before the grand jury that Caitlyn left the Albert residence at around 12 midnight. She was one of the first people to leave. And now she's testifying that Caitlyn was the very last person to leave. Same thing with Brian. The story changes. It's weird. To which the defense asks Brian Albert, were you trying to cover for Caitlyn so your daughter would not be wrapped up in this investigation? Because if she left early, it's likely there would be some time overlap to when Karen's vehicle is outside or something.
I don't follow.
If she left around 12, she would have seen more outside. She would have to go outside. Karen's car is outside. There's another car that's outside. It might be just a little bit trickier.
They're saying that it's easier story-wise for her to leave later.
Yes. So she stays in the house. She never looks outside the window. She doesn't see Karen's car pull up. She sees nothing. She hears nothing. And then by the time she leaves, she doesn't look at the front lawn and she just leaves.
Okay. But I mean, regardless, just the changing of the story, what's going on?
Netizens are like, it's not even the time change that's weird. Netizens believe that Caitlyn Albert had every intention to sleep over at her parents' house. That's why Tristan goes home from the waterfall. And she's like, I'm just going to sleep over at my parents' house. And then something happens. So now she's like, okay, you got to come pick me up because I can't be here when the cops get here tomorrow or whenever they get here. That's the allegation, that's the theory, that's the suspicion. There are also speculations that she left the house that night with Chloe.
That's why there's no barking, maybe?
And Jen McCabe says she didn't see Chloe.
That's true. You can easily hear a dog barking in the house.
Yeah, that's also
Easily.
what I was thinking.
So where
this
did
whole
Chloe
time.
go?
Oh my God.
And why would they not want Chloe there?
Right.
It doesn't make sense that Tristan Morris would just come pick her up. So he is also brought to the stand. And he is bizarrely hostile during the cross-examination. The defense attorney is just trying to ask him, were you at 34 Fairview Road in Canton at 1:45 in the morning on January 29th, 2022?
I don't remember the time.
Was it wildly different than 1:45 in the morning, or was it somewhat close to that?
I'm not going to make up a time. I don't remember.
Was it 9 p.m. on the 28th?
I don't remember times.
So if I asked you if you were there to pick up Caitlyn on 9 p.m. on January 28th, you couldn't say if that's true or false.
No, because I'm not making up a time.
What time were you at the waterfall?
I don't remember.
Were you at the waterfall?
Yes, I was.
What time did you leave the waterfall?
I don't remember.
Would you leave at 5 p.m.?
I don't remember.
Could it have been 5 in the morning?
Could have been 5 in the morning. I don't know.
I feel like he has a relatively easy testimony. Like in the
5 in the
eyes of the
morning?
jurors, I don't think anyone really cares about this guy. All you did is pick up your girlfriend. Just tell us if there's a dog in the car. Tell us why you picked up your girlfriend. That's it. And get out of here.
Maybe.
But he's getting very defensive. He doesn't remember anything at all.
He doesn't want to put himself at the time if there was something going on outside or not.
Yeah. He will respond, I don't remember, before the question is done being
Literally
asked.
at this point.
I didn't say anything. I don't remember a time.
No, I understand.
So I'm not going to make up a time.
Hold on. Only one person can speak at a time.
And there were no obstructions between you and the front lawn blocking your view, correct?
I wouldn't be staring at her grass. So no.
I didn't ask you where you were staring. I was just asking if there were any obstructions.
Okay, yeah.
And the answer to that question is?
No.
Later during redirect, Tristan is asked why he went back to get Caitlyn if it wasn't part of the plan. Caitlyn told him that she doesn't want to get snowed in at her parents' house. But this blizzard is not new information to anyone in the town of Canton.
Yes.
So it's weird. Tristan just responds to that.
Well, she's high maintenance. I didn't really want to have to deal with her.
And now they're married. They got married after all of this.
I mean,
Brian Albert
he's a
Jr.,
ride or die.
birthday Brian. He sits down on the witness stand. Netizens do point out that he has very distinctive facial hair.
Oh, the dude that's 23 but looks 40. I'm still not over that. I can't keep looking at his face. It trips me out.
But that is neither here nor there. He joined his father in wearing the defendant attire to the witness stand, collared shirt, sweater. But this biggest part about his testimony that's alarming is that the very first time that birthday Brian, despite being in the house that night and all morning, while John's body is found outside in the front lawn, the first time law enforcement officers talk to him, interview him, is 18 months after John's death. A whole new calendar year. It's in 2023, and that is done by Proctor. And birthday Brian has a lawyer present, and the interview is actually done at birthday Brian's family attorney's office.
18 months later.
Yes.
Okay.
What is going on?
And it's not like people were trying to hide his existence there. Everybody knew he was there.
Yeah.
It was his 23rd birthday. He says that his friends come over, Julie and Sarah, and a few other girlfriends come over, and it's just birthday Brian and all of his buddies at the house. They order food from a place called D&E Pizza that is owned by Chris and Julie Albert. And they start getting drunk. Everybody's primary drink of choice is White Claws. Now by 11 p.m., most of his friends are gone. So he says it's just me, Colin, Julie, and Sarah. That's who's over when the Albert parents and Caitlyn get home. So these three are the first people to get home. As they're coming in, they say Colin is leaving. He's like, my ride is here. My ride's coming back.
Who's his ride? A friend?
Allison McCabe.
Who's that again?
Jen and Matt McCabe's daughter.
Jen and Matt McCabe's daughter.
Brian Albert's cousin on his mom's side.
Uh-huh.
And Colin is Brian Albert's cousin on his dad's side. So technically, Colin Albert and Allison McCabe are not cousins, but they're basically cousins.
Wow.
And so he leaves, and Brian says, you know, my mom came in. She just gets straight to cleaning. She likes to clean. I don't know why he says that. And she was in the kitchen picking up. He also says, eventually, JJ comes in.
JJ? Jen?
He calls her Auntie JJ, which JJ is also the nickname for John O'Keefe from his nephew and niece. So Auntie JJ comes in, and it seems like Brian Albert Jr., birthday Brian, and Auntie JJ are very close. I mean, it seems like all the Alberts are close, but it's weird because birthday Brian and JJ seem close, but birthday Brian and Allison McCabe don't seem close because at one point, birthday Brian is asked about a group chat with all the cousins, like a Snapchat group chat with all the cousins.
Yep.
And they're like, the defense attorney is like, what about Allie McCabe? Is she on there? And he's like,
no, she's not an Albert.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Birthday Brian testifies that he didn't see anyone else physically come inside the house after Auntie JJ and Matt McCabe. But he did poke his head towards the window, and he did see a car outside. And the reason that he went to that window was because outside the house were Ryan Nagel, Heather Maxson, and Ricky D.
Who are
Ryan
they?
is Julie's brother.
Uh-huh.
And he's here to pick up Julie. And so Julie goes outside.
Yeah.
And Brian Albert looks out the window and he sees Ryan's car, but he also sees another dark colored SUV, who everyone presumes to be Karen Reed
and John
O'Keefe. Birthday Brian says he looks out the window twice, sees the dark SUV pull up, and eventually keeps pulling up towards the flagpole, which is on the very right side of the property.
Right.
He doesn't see anything strange. He doesn't hear screaming. He doesn't hear the sound of screeching tires, a collision. He doesn't see a man in the snow on the lawn, but he does at one point see tire tracks in the snow.
From the window?
He's looking past the lawn now, and he can see tire tracks. And Jen McCabe later testifies that she also saw tire tracks, but nobody sees a 210-pound, 6'1" man in the lawn.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Who's Heather and Ricky?
Ryan Nagel's friend Ricky D is actually the one driving. It's Ricky D's car.
Okay.
Heather is Ryan Nagel's girlfriend at the time. They're no longer together.
Okay, so there's
it's the
three
three.
people in the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian says, as for inside the house, he didn't see anyone come in. He didn't see anyone go up and down the basement stairs. Nothing. And then everybody leaves eventually. He goes up to his bedroom on the second floor that faces the backyard. He falls asleep, wakes up 7:30, 8 a.m. And he says,
I can't recall the exact time. I'd say maybe, I know previous testimony I may have said earlier, but I don't believe it was that early. I would say 7:30, 8 a.m. My dad had knocked on my door. I just threw on some clothes and I went downstairs into the main first floor of the house.
And he did not wake up from emergency vehicles, noises, or dogs barking or screaming. Just his dad knocking on his door to tell him what happened.
Damn,
that is
they're
when he finds
sleeping,
out. He says
pretty
he
hard.
doesn't know John O'Keefe personally. He says, I knew he was friendly with my auntie JJ, and that's it. Jen and Matt McCabe, their testimonies are going to be in part 3 and 4 because, I mean, I think we know everything that's going to be said. I think their testimonies are more important in the actual investigation sense of how they interact with all the troopers because they are doing some suspicious things. They're being weird. And so that's going to be in 3 and 4, but they pretty much say the same thing. Jen is like, I'm texting John. He's not coming in. I see the dark SUV. I look out the window multiple times. I see tire tracks in the snow. Nobody comes in. I don't see screeching. I don't see screaming. I don't hear anything. And I thought they left. Same with Matt McCabe. The other two that are in the house, Birthday Brian's two friends, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson. Julie says that they order pizza. They're having a good time, but she's been there for like 6 hours at this point. So at 12:15 a.m., she texts her brother, hey, can you come pick me up? Side note, Julie says she has no idea how long it took from that text message to be sent for him to drive up outside. He comes outside with his two friends, Ricky and Heather, and he texts Julie, hey, I'm outside.
Mm-hmm.
Now, instead of announcing to the group that her brother is outside and she will be going home now and retiring for the night, instead of that, she's like, wait, my brother's outside. I kind of don't want to leave all of a sudden. Jen and Matt McCabe are like, we'll drive you home. So she goes out into the snow. And I guess with no intention of leaving, she walks up to the pickup truck. She asks her brother and his friends, do you guys want to come inside? We're drinking and having fun. Brother is like, no, I absolutely do not. I want to go home. Do you want to go or not? She's like, no, I'm going to catch a ride with the McCabes instead. So she goes back inside the house. And this whole thing is so confusing because on one hand, she says that the McCabes offered her a ride. On the other hand, she's like, well, when I went out there to talk to my brother, I didn't know that I was going to get a ride from the McCabes. It's just confusing. But a big part of her testimony is Julie states that she sees a dark colored SUV outside the house, potentially Karen's car. But she states that she doesn't notice that car when she goes outside to talk to her brother. She thinks that the car pulled up near the end of her conversation with her brother.
Okay.
And then when she gets back inside, she looks out the window and that's when she notices, hey, there's a car out there. But she doesn't mention anything. She just takes a note of it. And later when she looks outside the window, it's pulled up near the flagpole. And she's asked, when it was pulling up, Miss Nagel, it wasn't going like 50 miles per hour, correct?
I mean, I didn't have a radar gun on me, but no.
Ryan Nagel then testifies. And this is during the first trial. He says that he was at a restaurant called the Hillside. and he gets a text message from his sister. And he's there with Ricky and Heather. He decides that they're going to pick up Julie after they're done eating. Ryan is like, I don't know how long I was there. Probably for another 40 minutes because Julie never said she was in a rush. So it's just like, can you pick me up on your way home? They stay for another 40 minutes before finally leaving for the Albert residence, which is about a 7-minute drive. And as they're pulling onto the street of Fairview Road, they notice another dark-colored SUV. And Ricky, the driver, he lets them pass. They're at like an intersection, and he's like, okay, you go first. That car is Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. And they park right in front of 34 Fairview. And Ryan, Ricky, and Heather park behind them. So flagpole is on the right side, driveway is on the left side, mailbox is left side, front door is kind of center. They're saying that they're parked kind of blocking the driveway, maybe towards the mailbox. This SUV is probably past the front door, but nowhere near the flagpole.
Got it.
So just kind of smack dab in the middle. Ryan testifies that he never sees anyone get out of the SUV while he's there. Now, side note, there are random inconsistencies between Julie and Ryan Nagel's testimonies. I don't know if they're of importance, but just to put it out there, Julie is firm that when she walked out the front door and walked down the walkway to see her brother, he's saying she came out the side door. She's like, no, I came out the front door.
I would say the side door next to the garage.
I went out through the front door.
She claims he rolled down the window to talk to her. He's like, no, I opened the passenger seat door.
He rolled down his window.
I opened my passenger door, that was it.
Because it's a truck. So in order for her to get into the back seat, I have to open the passenger front door. It's like one of those doors that you gotta open both, you know, those trucks?
Yeah.
No, but the biggest problem in their testimonies is Julie states that the dark colored SUV is not there when she goes out to talk to her brother. Ryan Nagel says that dark colored SUV got there before we got there and we passed it on our way out.
Well, it was like the SUV wasn't there when my brother was there. It was like before. Like when I was inside, I noticed it.
It's very confusing. Now she's saying like it was there before she went outside. Prosecutor Lally confirms with her. And so at the time that you were talking to your brother in the pickup truck, was the SUV still there?
I don't believe so, no.
Meanwhile, Ryan Nagel is testifying he notices the SUV the whole time. He noticed the brake lights were on. Nothing was wrong with the tail light. He didn't see anybody get out of the SUV. It was kind of inching forward. It wasn't driving weirdly. It just looked like it was inching forward, and that's it. Eventually, they leave because Julie's not coming, and they drive past the SUV, and Ricky, Heather, and Ryan Nagel testified that the dome light, like the inside light of the car, is on, and they only see a woman on the driver's seat with her hands on the 10 and 2 on the steering wheel.
No man?
No man.
What? So are you saying that that's the moment they feel like John O'Keefe already left the car?
The defense tries to infer that John O'Keefe probably already went inside and these three were just not really focusing on the SUV. You know, they mentioned multiple times, it's not like they didn't really care about who was in the SUV. They're on their phones, they're talking to each other, they're talking to Julie. At any point, John O'Keefe could have gone inside and they didn't see it. The prosecution is arguing, well, the dome light, the inside light automatically turns on when the car door opens. So they're saying John just opened the car door and Karen's about to like do a 3-point turn and hit him. Because the taillight is fine, there's no man on the lawn.
Yes.
Where's John?
So it's all happening at the same time.
So the prosecution is saying as they're passing the driver's side. So Karen's blocking their view. They can't see that John just got out. The defense is kind of inferring, what kind of crazy coincidence is that? It would make more sense that John O'Keefe is inside the house and Karen is just waiting for him. And she's getting agitated. Because also the prosecution theory is that they were fighting and then she ran him over. But all three of them testified there was no screaming, there was no yelling they heard. If he's leaving as they're fighting, I would imagine that she's screaming. So based on the fact that they don't see a broken taillight, they don't see anybody on the front lawn, and they don't see John inside the car, it's either he is right outside the car or he is inside the house. Those are really the only two options. But the biggest question that never gets answered is Julie Nagel wanted to go home at 12:15 a.m. She has been there since 6 p.m. for over 6 hours now. She's ready to go home. Her brother's almost here. all of a sudden she changes her mind and decides that she's going to stay 2 more hours with Jen McCabe. And it almost seems like Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe want them to stay. There's almost a little bit of convincing of like, oh my gosh, well, it just passed midnight. It's now Brian's birthday. It wasn't yesterday. It's Brian's birthday now. Why don't you get your brother to come in? Now, this is a crazy, risky theory that netizens have, but some netizens theorize that all the senior Alberts needed them here because they're the best alibi. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of family members. And that's not going to look good.
So the
Yes.
theory is something happened
In the basement.
But Julie had no idea?
The theory is that John came around back into the basement entrance for some reason. Maybe someone came out through the back and was like, hey, come in this way. This is again a theory, an allegation. We could all just have vivid imaginations that have really just no connection to truth or reality. We could be completely delusional. But some netizens believe that he came around back to the basement, walked down the steps, entered the basement where ATF Brian and Brian Albert, and perhaps even Colin. Some people put Colin there, some people don't. It really depends who you are and what theory you go with. They're in the basement. A fight breaks out. He passes away relatively quickly because it's a very fatal head wound where he becomes immediately incapacitated. So there's not a lot of noise. There's not a lot of screaming. Maybe there's some barking from Chloe. Maybe not. They're kind of all drunk. They're on the first floor. And Jen McCabe, Nicole Albert is like, well, why don't you guys stay? They're kind of mediating. I don't know why they would say that nobody was in the basement, though. Everybody was hanging out in the main floor.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yes, so that's the part that gets me. However, this girl, Julie Nagel, I don't see her as a very reliable witness.
Why is that?
Just the way that she's testifying on the stand, it just, even the fact that she said that Karen's car wasn't there when she went outside. I don't know if she's perhaps was too
None of
drunk
them are
that night to
reliable.
remember or recall details well. She also calls Jennifer McCabe JJ. Julie Nagel does testify that when she does finally leave Fairview Road, it's Matt McCabe driving, Jen McCabe in the front, and then Julie Nagel, Sarah Levinson in the back. And she says that as they're leaving, she looks out the window and she's like furthest away from the Albert house. So she's right behind the driver's side, which means Jen in the passenger side and Sarah Levinson next to Julie are going to be closest to the Albert residence. She looks through the window and she sees what she calls a, quote, black blob on the lawn near the flagpole. And she says, did you guys see that?
That's crazy.
And the prosecutors are asking her, no, the defense is also asking her, can you say how big the blob was?
I'd probably say 5 or 6 feet, like long.
Really?
She says in the car something along the lines of, did you guys see that? I think I see something. She says, I did say out loud, I was like, I think I might have seen something. I'm not kind of sure what it was, but I was also intoxicated drinking, so I didn't really know what I saw. But Sarah was like, what, Julie? And I was like, I don't know what it was. And then that was kind of really it. Matt McCabe denies this conversation ever happened. He says if it happened, he didn't hear it at all. Because that calls into question, well, first of all, why don't they do anything about it? You don't think it's weird that your friend pulls up and is parking near that area and they never come in, they don't text you back, they don't pick up your phone calls afterwards, and then now someone sees a black blob that's huge or sees something? I feel like I would have just stopped. But let's say you don't stop that night. Jen McCabe, the next morning she gets a phone call. You didn't think that she would put 2 and 2 together? Of like, wait a minute, I did see their car outside. Now Karen's saying that John never came home. And then, oh my God, Julie Nagel last night was like, I saw something on the lawn. But no, she's like, we gotta go search John's house again. It's weird.
What time did all of them leave?
They said they left around like 1:30, 1:45.
Huh.
And Julie Nagel, they drive past this black blob. She goes home. The next day, she says she puts 2 and 2 together when she realizes John O'Keefe was found in the lawn. She was like, oh my gosh. Now, what does she do with this information? Nothing. She never talks about this black blob, like, ever again. So a lot of people think that she's making it up for the sole purpose of placing John there.
When did she release that information?
It's October 2022, and then the trial is when she starts talking about how the blob was 6 feet tall. Like, it's a very large black blob.
6 feet long?
Yeah, 6 feet long.
Okay.
The defense even questions it that publicly Everyone by that point was like, how can nobody see? How did nobody see leaving the house? And then suddenly Julia's like, wait, you guys, I saw.
Yeah, and it's weird that none of them, like Jen McCabe or Matt McCabe or anybody said that, oh, yeah, I didn't see, but Julie said she saw this.
So Sarah, she'll testify later that they already had driven past the flagpole by the time she looked. So I guess she's trying to explain like her reaction time was too slow. So Julia's like, I see something over there. And then Sarah's like, and they're now looking at the neighbor's lawn. Jennifer McCabe is like, I was turned around, literally body twisted towards the back seat so I could have a little conversation with them. And we were joking about PB&J sandwiches.
Oh, you remember PB&J?
But you don't remember most everything else.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And if you thought that was weird,
Selective memory.
if you thought that was weird,
Right.
you're in for a treat. Because Jen McCabe, later on, Jen McCabe texts Julie Nagel for screenshots of text messages between Julie Nagel and Ryan Nagel.
Why?
About what time she texted him to come pick her up and what time he texted her that he was here.
Oh my
Why does
God.
Jennifer McCabe need those text messages?
This is so
Correct.
stupid.
And why does she need screenshots?
Correct.
Okay, that's what they're asking. The defense is asking Julie.
When Jennifer McCabe, or as we call her, JJ, asked you for screenshots of the text messages that you had with your brother Ryan, did Jennifer McCabe tell you that she was investigating this case?
No.
And you have no memory of providing those screenshots to any investigator other than Jennifer McCabe, correct?
I don't remember, no.
Why would she need those? Why would Jen McCabe need those?
Now, do we know when did Jen McCabe ask for that information?
Yes, that's going to be in part 3.
Okay.
Because there's so much. I have to group Jen McCabe's all of her stuff together because
Yeah.
she's got so much weird stuff that she does. And I feel like each one by one, it's so small. But then
Yeah.
collectively, it's a mountain.
Yeah.
And then Sarah Levinson, she has known Birthday Brian for the past 10 years. She's also in that car. She states that she never saw anybody go near the basement. She never saw anybody on the front lawn. She was so focused on getting to the car without slipping that she didn't even look at the lawn. She was looking at her feet. Nobody saw anything on the lawn. That's it. And then by the time that Julie says, did you guys see that? It was past the neighbor's house. Now, a few interesting things come out of Sarah's testimony. She says that at one point, Matt McCabe forgot his coat inside, so he has to leave the car, go back into the house to get his coat. Matt McCabe is like, that never happened. So it's weird. I don't know if that's a huge discrepancy. Oh, and side note, she is asked another detail. And she says at the time, they were the last ones to leave. You believed that Brian Higgins and Caitlyn Albert had left before you, correct? I believe so. So remember Caitlyn Albert, why did her timeline change? We don't know. But Sarah's like, I'm pretty sure we left after her.
But Caitlyn says she left the last.
Before.
None of this
That's
is making
crazy.
sense.
It's just like everyone's just saying
Everybody's
random
lying.
story. It almost invalidates
is a
everyone's
liar.
story.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating to hear these like story? And you were telling me like even their first and second trial, their stories so many different.
Yeah, like Ryan Nagel has some slight changes in his story. I like to think that he's more of an innocent witness of maybe it's time, maybe it's memory, maybe it's just bias that creeps in during that time period. Sarah, on the other hand, I have some questions about her discrepancies. I'm going to go more deep into this in part 3 because we're going to do a whole deep dive on Chloe as well. But in trial 1, Sarah's like, yeah, of course I met Chloe. I've been BFFs with Brian Albert Jr. for the past 10 years. Of course I've met Chloe. And then the second trial, the defense is like, you've never met Chloe, right? And she's like, no.
What?
Okay.
Have you met Chloe? Have you not met Chloe? It's not that hard of a question. I
Yeah.
mean, you would vividly remember if you met one of your best friend's dogs in
Yeah.
the decade that you've known them. I mean, I don't know if that's an innocent mistake. I was trying to wrap my head around how it could be innocent because I try to give the benefit of the doubt, but it was just very weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. Now, all of them say that Colin Albert left at 12:10 a.m. Brian Albert Jr. says, well, my cousin Colin arrived at the house at some point. I don't recall how he knew I was at my house, but at some point he did call me and said, oh, are you still at your house? I said, yes. He said, do you mind if I come? And I said, no, of course, you're welcome to come by. So he stops by at around 10:45 to 11 p.m. But when the Albert parents get home, Colin gets up and says that he's getting picked up. He states by the time Jen and Matt McCabe walk in, he's already gone. He doesn't even see them. Julie Nagel is also saying that Colin left around sometime around 11:30, 11:45 before midnight, which is not matching what they're saying, but that could be a drunk discrepancy. I don't know. However, in her testimony, she states Colin left and was not there when any of the adults get back. So it's just weird. During the first trial, Colin Albert does testify, and he does state he was 17, turning 18 at the time of John's death. He was a senior in high school. He was 4 months away from graduation, and he's 20 now that he's testifying. He says that Friday night, he went to a guy named Mike's house, his buddy named Mike. Who was there?
I do not remember who was there.
What did you do at Mike's house?
I do not remember.
How did you get to Mike's house?
No, I do not remember.
How much did you drink at Mike's house?
I do not remember.
Side note, this is the prosecution questioning him.
Jesus
He's
Christ.
supposed to be in friendly territory right now. I mean, he very well is. And these are his responses. But after this mysterious Mike's house, Colin testifies.
It was my cousin Brian's birthday, so I went over to celebrate for a little bit with him.
Do you know how old your cousin Brian Albert Jr. was turning on that night?
I do not know.
Here's something he does know, though, which is he got a ride to 34 Fairview from Allie McCabe. So he's saying Allie McCabe, Jen McCabe's daughter, Brian Albert's cousin from his mom's side, no familial blood relation to Colin Albert, but like cousins, right?
Yeah.
Allie McCabe drives to mysterious Mike's house, picks up Colin Albert, and then they drive to the Albert residence. This is where it gets weird. So first of all, he's asked about his connection with Allie McCabe, and he just says, it's my cousin's cousin. So technically not my cousin, but we're close, and we do family events and stuff like that together. They've known each other since they were born. Colin testifies Allie McCabe gives him a ride. He ends up at the Albert residence at around 10:30, 11 p.m., which is not the most time efficient thing because Colin claims he has a midnight curfew.
Okay.
So he's got to go home. And again, he's not driving. He doesn't have a car. So he's got no plan, just vibes, and his curfew is coming up in like an hour. He's in the kitchen. He says he's chugging Bud Light. Okay, chugging is an exaggeration on my part. He's drinking Bud Light. He's having many alcoholic beverages, but he says that he wasn't intoxicated. Nobody at the party was. Colin says he's about there for maybe an hour and decides to go back home at 12:10 a.m. Colin says Allie McCabe was going to drive him home. He waits for her to send him a text that says, I'm here. This is what's weird to me. Allie has no intention of coming inside the Albert residence. That doesn't make sense because it's not like Allie and Colin's relationship. If anything, Allie is also Brian Albert Jr.'s direct cousin.
Yeah.
So she's not even going to pop in for 2 seconds to say happy birthday?
Right?
Yeah. Weird.
So then Colin says he gets that text message right as Brian and Nicole Albert are walking in the house. He's walking out to see Allie McCabe. And we are to assume that Allie McCabe picks Colin Albert up and misses her own mom by like 2 seconds. So he rushes into the car. That's all he remembers. He doesn't remember which side of the driveway Allie parked the car, whether there was someone else in the car or not, whether there was anybody else in the car after she dropped him off, what side of the car he got into. He doesn't remember anything at all.
I do not remember. That I do not remember. I do not remember that. I do not remember that either.
I get it. Sometimes these memories mean nothing because like, let's say 2 years down the road, I say, hey, what did you do 2 years ago on this random cousin's birthday? You're not going to remember.
Yeah.
But if the next day something very eventful happens, you're going to hindsight and memorize everything. So if it's your cousin's birthday and the next day a traumatic incident happens, you're going to replay all the events of yesterday and it's going to be singed into your memory forever. Colin says he gets dropped off, walks into the bedroom, tells his parents that he loves them, good night. That's kind of what he's expected to do at around 12:30 now, 12:15-ish. And then he goes to his room and he falls asleep. That's it. While he was at 34 Fairview, he didn't witness anything strange, abnormal, nothing. I mean, he really only saw everyone hanging out. That was it. He didn't run into anybody else. Nothing of importance comes out of this.
But why did everyone forgot to mention your name then?
Exactly. That is how annoying he is during the direct examination. It's time for his cross, where he forgets just about everything minus his name. When he is asked about how he prepared for the trial with anyone, he says, nobody. Then he later is like, oh yeah, with the prosecutor. And he's asked, so why did you say with nobody?
Remember my first question, very first question this morning? I said, have you spoken to anybody in order to prepare for your testimony? And you said no.
Yeah.
So that's not true.
Okay. Yes.
It's not an okay, it's yes or no.
Yes.
I mean, it's to be expected that you prep. Why did you say no? He's like, well, I don't even remember what we talked about in that session. Even though it was 1 month prior to the testimony, he doesn't remember what questions he practiced with Ali. He doesn't remember the questions he gave Ali, nothing. And there is this unhinged moment where defense attorney Jackson is like,
Obviously, you've been thinking about this case quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
Over the last 2.5 years.
No.
How long have you been thinking about this?
Since people started writing about me on the internet.
how about since you were at a house where an individual ended up dead on the lawn the next morning, did that prompt you to start thinking about this?
No.
Not so much, huh?
Nope.
You watched any coverage on this case online? Nope. No social media? No, I don't have social media.
Don't
Lie.
have social
Okay,
media?
literally a lie. He's on Snapchat. No news coverage? Nope. So literally, according to you, you know zero about the media coverage concerning this case, Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Correct. Did he not just say that he only started caring about this case once people online started talking about him? The defense continues to ask him very simple questions, such as, did you talk to Allie before her testimony? No. When was the last time you talked to Allie before she testified? I don't remember. Give me an idea. She's one of your best friends a week ago, a day ago, a month ago. I don't remember. Could it have been a year ago? I do not remember. Could it have been 5 years ago? No. Okay, so it was more recently than 5 years ago that you spoke to Allie McCabe. I don't remember.
Yo.
So you have no independent recollection as you sit here the last time you talked to one of your best friends and your cousin about any subject. No, I don't remember.
Were you ever told in preparation for your testimony, if you start to get stumped or nervous, just say, I don't remember?
Nope.
Nobody ever told you that?
Mm-mm.
So
No.
you remember that?
No, sorry.
So nobody ever informed you that you might get nervous on the witness stand. There might be tough questions. Easiest way to get out of them is just say, yeah, I don't recall. No. So you just don't recall because your memory is that bad. Your testimony is you were not instructed to say, I don't remember. You literally just don't remember. Correct.
It's an issue with your memory, not an instruction that you received.
Correct.
Right. But you do remember 2.5 years ago, you left 34 Fairview at 12:10 a.m., correct? Down to the minute.
Correct.
Got it.
I need someone to check this one for a brain tumor for early onset dementia because the amount of I don't remembers that he utters in his testimony, it got so bad that the defense straight up asks him, do you remember anything about this case?
No.
And
remember
there
your own
is
birthday?
something he remembers. Like how he slipped on the driveway and landed straight on his knuckles.
I was at a party, my house party my senior year, and I remember it being icy out, and it was kind of like a steep hill of a driveway, and I was walking up the driveway, and I slipped down the driveway, and I tried to catch myself, but I had something in my left hand, so I tried to brace myself with my right hand, and I ended up sliding a little bit down the driveway.
Oh, that's right.
Right? He has
that.
a memory.
That's
He
right.
remembers that very well. Allie McCabe also testifies the same day, and she testifies the night before that she ever drops Colin off at 34 Fairview and picks him up. She's hanging out with friends from school, and then she just starts driving around. At one point, she sees a dog on the side of the road, and they knew that a snowstorm was coming, so they pick up the dog, brought it to the police station, and then drove the dog back to the owner's house once they found out who the owner of the dog was. Now, this is a huge point of contention. Allie describes the small dog as being a small white dog. Not sure what type. This is contentious in the fact that people online have been saying, how can you spot a tiny dog in a blizzard, but you don't spot a full-grown adult on your front lawn? To be fair, I will argue that there was no snow accumulating on the ground. However, it likely was pretty dark. And if you can spot a small dog,
a white dog in a snowstorm, but not a dead man on the ground when there's barely any snow. And you can see the grass. Come on. Come on. This is stupid.
probably spot a person. It's weird. She states that she gets a text message from Colin to pick her up and drive him to 34 Fairview. Within an hour, she gets another text message from Colin asking her to pick him up from 34 Fairview and drop him off at his house. She's a free Uber driver at this point, but she goes to pick him up. She states he gets inside the car, and right after dropping him off at his house, back to his house, this is 12:10, now it's probably like 12:15, she goes straight home. The defense attorney is asking, do you know about what time it was that you got home?
Not exactly. I would estimate a little bit before 12:30, around that time.
She says that her parents were not home by the time that she gets back.
And so after your return home, when you went to bed or you went to sleep, were your parents home at that point?
No.
About how much time was it between the time when you got home, around 12:30 or so, and when you went to sleep?
Not long. I don't know.
Allie also doesn't recall what time she woke up, but both of her parents were home at that point, which Colin says that he was dropped off at around 12:10 a.m. Allie is saying she got home at around 12:30. They live relatively close together, but it's snowing. She's driving a little slower. The times are supposed to check out, but they don't. Because Allie McCabe has a Life 360 app, and the app on her phone shows that she does not get home immediately. In fact, she does not get home until 1:32 a.m.
What's a Life 360?
It's when parents, and you can track your whole family on Life 360. That is an entire hour discrepancy.
Yeah.
Which is fine, I guess, except she's saying that she drove Colin home and then immediately went home. So what time did Colin get home?
Yeah. Does it not track her location?
It does, and there are some concerns about there's like a circle. A border. This is like the school zone. This is the home zone. So it doesn't track what street you're on at what time. It's just like at this time you enter this radius that is known as the home zone.
Wow.
What's interesting though is Colin Albert and Allison McCabe, they say, well, we actually have proof of the time. Life 360, don't trust it.
Yeah.
We have text message proof of Colin texting Allie, can you pick me up? Allie texting him, I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's around 12:10. And she gives these screenshots over to the investigators. And they're entered into evidence. I mean,
Not
this
the
wasn't
phone.
entered into evidence for a really long time. And she's asked by the defense, why didn't you turn this in immediately? And she says,
No, it wouldn't have been relevant at that time.
It
I believe,
would've.
because Colin was not at the house and wasn't introduced as being there until later.
Okay. Wow.
Then she says, it's also not relevant because Colin wasn't there when John was there. Does that mean when John was in the car at 12:30 a.m.? Or is that when John was in the house?
Right.
A lot of netizens have pointed out that right after this line of questioning where she has these two little slip-ups where people thought, ooh, that's not good, she immediately starts, she is asked about how she's been harassed. There's a whole side story of witness tampering and harassment of witnesses, mainly the McAlberts, of people believing that they're guilty and harassing them in person, calling them cop killers. And she does start crying about it, and she talks about how people have been calling her school. Half the netizens think that this is a very genuine response of a young girl who probably didn't want to be involved in any of this, and it seems like she's roped into it through her mom, Jen McCabe. If there's anything to even be roped into, these are all theories.
There is something to be roped into, and I'm fully believe that she's being forced to lie, but at the end of the day, baby girl, you are still an adult. But then again, I mean, this whole fucking town is corrupt. So I do understand that if your whole life is in a little town where everybody is waiting to lie on a fucking federal court case, yeah, I guess I would understand if she doesn't want to lie, because she's fucked if she does. Like, her whole life is there, her whole family is there, and she's gonna be a pariah. She's gonna be, yeah, I mean, I get it. I can have empathy for that, but my empathy can only extend so much. Because ultimately, y'all are trying to frame an innocent woman of a murder that was committed by a bunch of cops. So sympathy is not that high.
All conspiracies. The other half of netizens think that she is crying not because of the harassment, but because this comes right after the line of questioning where she slips up twice.
Now, did she explain why her app showing that she got home at 1:30?
She's like, well, that's not accurate.
Okay.
Eventually, Colin hands over the thread of text messages between Allie and Colin, and that shows Allie texting him that she's here to pick him up. He's responding, coming. Okay, so the date at the top, it says January 28th, 2022, 11:54 p.m. The date looks a little weird. It's January 28, 2022, at 11:54 p.m. A lot of iPhone users are like, what's the second comma doing there? We don't know what that second comma is. That's a weird second comma. There's a text from Colin to Allie that reads, you can come get me now, if easier. She responds, okay, I'm driving people home now. Word, get me after. KK. Then at 12:10 a.m., Allie arrives outside the Albert residence, allegedly, and texts, here. Colin responds, okay, which is reasonable evidence that she did indeed pick him up at the time that they're saying, except what's submitted into evidence is just a screenshot.
Literally.
These are not the original text messages. There's no metadata. These are screenshots.
Yeah.
Anybody over the age of like 6 years old could probably forge a text message in this day and age.
Yeah.
First of all, it's not that hard to change the date on your phone and text yourself all sorts of nonsense to make it look like something happened at a given date when it really did not happen at that given date. The defense even points to this in their line of questioning because they say, well, that's weird because you have these text messages between you two from January 28th, 2022 and January 29th. And then you guys don't text until February 20th, 2022. So the theory amongst a lot of netizens is that they went, deleted all their messages from January 29th to February 20th. So today is February 20th, 2022. They're like, we gotta forge some messages. Allegedly, this is the conspiracy. We have to forge some messages. But we've been texting for a month. We gotta delete all these messages. Then we have to go enter the time, manually change the time on our phone, and start texting as if it's January 28th, January 29th of 2022. And then once we do that, we change the date back to the original date, February 20th, 2022, and then we can start texting like normal again. But if you keep the date, if you change the date and you already have text messages from that date, it could not work.
Yeah.
So they don't text for nearly a month after the incident, not a single text. People believe that they were texting. It doesn't make sense. They're both arguing that, well, we kind of switched between platforms, so we just moved over to Snapchat. And the defense is like, oh, Snapchat, the place that automatically deletes messages.
Wow.
Colin is like, well, I don't know if my settings are like that. And they're like, well, do you have your phone? Are your settings like that? He's like, well, I don't remember. Others say it doesn't even look like they went through the effort of changing the date. It looks like they photoshopped the date. It just looks bizarre because in another situation, when you are texting someone at 11:58 p.m., it's going to have that date at the very top. It's going to say January 28th at 11:58 p.m. And then the minute that 12 o'clock hits, 12:01, you send a new message, there's going to be a new date header.
Yeah.
There's none.
Is that really what happens immediately the next day?
Well, that makes sense.
That's what everyone says?
On Reddit. And I was like, I should try this. And I suddenly morphed into a 70-year-old. And I was like, I don't know how to manually set the date. That seems crazy. Maybe I will tonight.
Wow.
Some people also think that this is not even, it's misrepresenting the truth. Some people think that Allie McCabe picked up Colin Albert from his buddy Mike's house at 12:10. And then together they went to the Albert residence. That would make sense because his birthday is past 12. Mm-hmm. Both of them are cousins. Yeah. And previously, the text message before January 28th at 11:50 something p.m., the one right above it said something along the lines of Colin texting Allie McCabe, Mikey is making me do shotguns now. Ha 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 ha. And that was early in the morning. And it seemed like it was just a completely different day. But that could have been the original date. And they just didn't delete that much. So people think that they went over to the Albert residence at 12:10.
And then went home at 1:30.
Yes.
Also, like, if the app Live 360 or whatever, isn't that a very important app for location, for tracking?
I would say that the witnesses in this case do not believe in the concept of technology oftentimes. It seems like technology is a very erroneous method of data. Any of them confronted with anything digitally that they've done?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know. Well, I didn't pick it up, so AT&T must have it wrong. That's the energy.
Yeah, I wonder what Life 360's main mission is as an app, and if they fail at the fundamental, like the most basic feature of yours, how do you explain
If you
that?
guys have Life 360, how accurate are the backtracking of locations? I'm so curious about that. But also another interesting thing is there is an invisible car. There's so many threads of mysteries. There's the thread of mystery of what time did Colin get there? What time did he leave? There's also a question that netizens have of, was Allison McCabe there for a long time? Did she go inside? And everyone is just omitting her name like they omitted Colin's. But now the story is, okay, well, she picked him up, so she definitely couldn't have been inside the house for a long time. Are they all doing this to protect children in the family? That's been a big question. But there is this invisible Jeep theory. Birthday Brian is asked, was there anything in between Ryan Nagel's friend's truck and Karen's dark SUV that you saw outside? He says, not to my knowledge, I didn't see anything, no. Only the older people seem to be able to see a Jeep with a giant snowplow attached to the front, parked right in front of the mailbox. Ryan Nagel and his friends state that they parked perpendicular to the driveway, right behind the mailbox. And they can see Karen's SUV in front of them. They don't see a Jeep with a giant snowplow attached to it, parked right in front of the mailbox. Only the adults see it. Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, Nicole Albert, Jen McCabe, and Matt McCabe.
Brian Higgins' Jeep was in the driveway.
There was a Jeep in front of the mailbox.
And I took a left into the driveway.
What would that be? That's so random.
Brian Higgins' Jeep.
Oh.
Nobody sees the Jeep.
What?
Julie Nagel walks outside to talk to her brother in the pickup truck that's supposedly, according to these older McAlberts, right behind the Jeep. She doesn't see a Jeep, but she also doesn't see Karen's car, so I don't know. Are they misremembering collectively about a Jeep? Or is it an intentional lie about the Jeep? And if it is, why are they lying about the Jeep? This Jeep also has a giant snowplow in front of it. It's like an attachment, and it just makes it longer, and it looks like a giant shovel. And you can lift it up. It's got lights on it. Some people think that John O'Keefe was actually hit by the snowplow on the Jeep and not Karen's car. I don't know how the physics of that would work.
No, because we already established that his injuries were not consistent with getting hit by a fucking car. His injuries are way more consistent by someone beating his ass up to death. Whether it was premeditated or accidental, he got beat up to death. So.
But there are lots of questions of, is Brian Higgins the killer? That's what a lot of people think. However, the only thing that doesn't make sense with that theory, if you just don't even count in like forensic evidence, is the fact that the McAlberts are way too involved. And if it was ATF Brian, someone that is not part of the family, they would throw him under the bus so quickly. People are commenting, I don't think the McAlberts would be going through all these hoops just for Brian Higgins. Colin was involved some way. Some people think Allison McCabe was there for a lot longer. She was inside the house is what some people are assuming. I don't know. I think Colin is very suspicious. I feel very sympathetic towards Allison McCabe in the sense of, if she is not telling the truth, it seems like a lot of people believe she's stuck in a position where, if you believe in the conspiracy, she's forced to say these things. A lot of people say there is no way that the McAlberts are going through all of this for Brian Higgins, which means Colin must have been involved in some way, shape, or form. One netizen says, I think the insistence that it wasn't Colin has been the main factor in convincing everyone that it was Colin. So why would it be Colin? Does it have anything to do with the fact that there are allegations, there are conspiracy theories, that this part of the Albert family, Chris, Julie, and Colin, own D&E Pizza Shop that might be a drug front? Again, a conspiracy. But it is interesting when you think about the fact that at the Waterfall bar, Karen kept asking to go to D&E instead of 34 Fairview.
Really? Why?
She said she wanted to go after hours to make a pizza because sometimes they do that. They kept saying no. What's also interesting is that Chris Albert, who was at the Waterfall, was the one that invited John O'Keefe out that night.
Yeah, which is strange, correct?
Yes, and you know what's also strange? John O'Keefe before he went on these like night outings,
Yeah.
he went with his nephew to D&E Pizza that day for lunch.
That day
That day.
that he died.
Yes.
Huh.
And he told his superiors and he told members of Canton Police Department that he did notice drug activity in the neighborhood. Who was also his neighbor?
Huh.
And that is the conspiracy that we will be covering in part 3, along with the accident reconstructionist. I try to be very wary of conspiracies. I think that they typically do more harm than good. I think in this case, in this situation, a lot of these conspiracies I can't even judge. I think had this been any other case, a lot of the far-fetched conspiracies, we could probably try to disprove it, probably even try to say, guys, we should maybe go outside and get some fresh air.
Yeah, but the law enforcement on this case is like, I don't know.
I think every single witness is not doing themselves a favor. I think conspiracies are born when people act and behave so suspiciously. I think this is also a really strong representation of how a lot of people feel about law enforcement officers at this point in time. I mean, there's just no trust between law enforcement officers and the communities these days. And I think this is a direct reflection of that as well. On top of these guys are just weird.
Everybody's weird.
What are your thoughts?
Whoa,
Everybody's
my brain
weird.
is
Everybody's
fried.
guilty of something.
What is going on?
Where I leave you with part 2. We will be back for part 3 and part 4. And if you can believe it, it gets worse. With that being said, stay safe and I will see you in the next one.
Woo! Well, at least we went through this 3 hours and 24-minute video. It took 2 days, but we did it. And my, oh my. My, oh fucking my. That is a lot. 감사합니다. 감사합니다, cat. Yeah. Anyway, I'm done with this video for today. We have 2 more videos. Oh my god. Oh my god. So the next video is 3 hours, and the video after that is pretty much 3 hours. So we have 6 more hours of this fucking thing. God damn. 6 hours, 9, so that's like 9:30. That's like literally, that's like around 12 hours of content on this one case. Each of our videos are so long. Oh my god. The amount of work that she put into it is so commendable. I like this woman so much. But, oof, I don't know if she'd do it. Anyway. As usual, I will come back sometime. I don't know when. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. I never know in advance. And we will finish this fucking long-ass series. Considering the fact that we have 6 hours left of content. Honestly, that's probably gonna be like 2 get ready with me per episode, because these videos are so long. They are so long. But still, everything is very annoying but juicy, but very annoying. These people are all annoying me. And the fact that they got away with it pisses me off, but it is what it is. I will, as usual, take a break and I will come back later to play video games. I don't know yet, probably like Marvel Rival and Warframe, which are my usual. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I will come back later. Bye bye. Take care.